Yeah. What do you think has kept your like odd couple relationship stable for as long as it has? What are the secrets to like founder relationship success?
I mean, well, first of all, I mean, there was clearly like a personal fit, and even more, I would say like a working style fit. We're pretty different. We tend to work pretty differently, but we're we have very complementary ways to work and skills. And so we were able to do a ton of stuff with just the two of us. Like to give you some numbers, before we started hiring people, it was just the two of us. We had about 80,000 users. Our AR was close to like, I think $600,000 a year or something. So like fairly significant numbers and volume, just being the two of us, because we were very good at what we were doing and very complementary. So that's something that keeps you going. I think we both fundamentally share the deep beliefs that what we're trying to do needs to exist, and that we are, at least till today, the best. We have the best product on the market, and so it would be a shame to stop. And so that keeps you going, you know. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, over 7 years, you know, it's like, you know, a 7-year relationship with your spouse. You have rough times. It always happens. But then, you know, the commitment to the bigger vision is, or if it's your spouse, your children, or whatever that is, will keep you moving forward. There are things you could do. So after we raised money, for instance, we took an executive coach, which if you have the money to do that, because it's expensive, I very much recommend. Because, you know, most entrepreneurs actually don't know what they're doing because it's their first companies. And you have some people that have seen other people go through there. And so even though all product and all startups are different, I think the problems that every CEO or every founder faces as he scales his business tend to be pretty similar. And so working with someone that has seen it helps, and that helps in particular with co-founder relationships. Yeah.
And that's you guys started the company off with just one coffee meeting as well, right? So from that to
That's what I was saying.
How did you know so quickly that Josh was the one?
I didn't. So I think there are like a couple of things that happen. So first of all, from a purely rational perspective, you know, the risk was pretty low. Like, you know, I had this person like Charles that already had a very early prototype, but something was offering me, if you're interested, do you want to work with me, basically 50-50 to join me? What was the risk? You know, it doesn't work out. Well, you know, after 3 months, I look for a job and I'll take the job. It's fine. The only risk I was taking was on my immigration status, because I'm still not a citizen. So I had to make sure, like, if you wait too long, then you might find yourself in a situation where you don't have time to sort your immigration status and you have to leave. That can happen. But that was honestly the only thing. And then from an emotional thing, I mean, I think we connected. It was a pretty funny interaction. You know, I arrived saying, it's great to meet, but I have this job offer that is great, actually taking care of my immigration status, which for the 4 years I have lived in the US, it's a real thing. You know, when you look for a job, it's actually something that is important, like a strong selling point in your job offer. So startup was pretty interesting in New York. I mean, they went bankrupt after that, but I didn't know that at the time. So I went to that coffee saying, well, it's great to meet, but, you know, I have this job offer. It's actually quite interesting. So I'm going to take it. But, you know, who knows? Maybe, you know, a few years from now, we'll do something. And then we started talking. We literally talked more than 3 hours. And at the end, he was like, well, do you want to give it a try? And I was like, well, let me think about it. I didn't say yes immediately. I slept over it. I actually called my school to make sure I was not doing something completely stupid from an immigration standpoint. Talks to some people and some kind of like foreign student advisor. And the guy was like, well, you have a few ways to figure it out. And then I called him. I called the job first to turn it down. And then I called Josh to say, okay, I'm in. One thing I'll say is, not knowing each other. So it could have turned out terrible if we're just not compatible people, but not being friends initially is actually, I think, a pretty good thing to work, because you first behave as professional. I see a lot of people that start companies with friends where sometimes it's difficult to actually have like, to tell someone you really fucked up something, for instance. It's kind of hard to say because there is an emotional baggage. You don't want to lose your friendship over the business. With Josh, I mean, we became friends. I mean, he was actually best man at my wedding, but it's something that grew on the job. And we started as professional first, which I think is a much better way to start a business. I remember when I was at Harvard, one of the professors I had in entrepreneurship was studying success rate, like what creates a good founding team. What are the traits of good founding teams? And one of the things he was looking at was, how close are you from your co-founder? Like, and so closest being basically married, like a couple, from like friends to ex-colleagues. And so basically those three. I mean, very few people start a company, would start a company with someone they don't know. Only me would do that, I think, and Josh. But so, and so what you see when you look at the numbers is that the closer you are to your co-founders, the higher the failure rate is. And the explanation he had, which makes real sense to me, I mean, that's what was coming out of the interviews he was running, was that when you're very close to someone, when you have both, your company and your marriage in the same thing, because at some point, if the business goes bust, the likelihood of your marriage is tough. At some point, you're going to give up on your business to protect your marriage or your friendship. And it's something I've seen over and over and over again. Having said that, this is statistics. You have very impressive success stories of best friends starting businesses and actually couples starting businesses. So this is just statistics.